Welcome back to Recap IT. Today we are going to recap a 2010 horror thriller movie titled Orphan. After losing their baby, a couple adopt a 9-year-old girl. However, they soon make a troubling discovery about her mysterious past and uncover several traits of her disturbing personality. But before we begin, please consider subscribing to this channel. Now without wasting any further time, let's begin, shall we? The film begins with a married couple, John and Kate, who are on their way to the hospital due to labor pains. It's their third child, and she'll be named Jessica. Kate notices blood on the floor and learns in the operating room that it is a stillbirth. There were some disturbing scenes. It had all been a dream. In reality, they had lost their third child due to stillbirth. And this is Kate's worst nightmare come true. Their marriage is strained as a result of this. Kate is going to therapy because she is an alcoholic. They have 2 children, a 5-year-old deaf daughter named Max and a 12-year-old son named Daniel. They make the decision to adopt a child. In the orphanage, they meet Esther, a 9-year-old Estonian girl. They decide to adopt her after hearing from her sister Abigail that she speaks good English. And the family who brought her here was killed in a car accident. She is a mature and well-mannered young lady. Max is attracted to Esther, but Daniel is perplexed. He grew envious of Esther. Parents begin to feel better, and their relationship improves. Esther arrives with Max one night before their intercourse. Esther claims that they are afraid of light and do not want to sleep alone. Daniel accidentally shot a pigeon with a toy gun. Esther gives Daniel a stone to kill an injured pigeon. Otherwise, the pigeon would suffer from the cold, but Daniel refuses and Esther kills the pigeon. Esther is bullied at school by a girl, and she begins screaming like a lunatic. Kate cheers Esther up by showing her Jessica's grave. Esther becomes emotional and begins to cry. And a mother-daughter bond has begun to form between them. Esther comes in and sees Kate and John while they are having their intercourse in the kitchen. They are embarrassed. Kate goes to Esther to talk about it all, but Esther already knows so much about it. Knowing this, Kate became suspicious. But, according to John, she may have learned this from her previous foster parents. John drives them there to park. She recognizes a classmate. Esther was bullied, and someone pushed her off the slide, breaking her ankle. Esther lied to Kate and John, claiming that they were only pretending to take her side. Daniel gets into a fight with Esther and John, and Kate apologizes. But he doesn't stop there. As a punishment, John locks his tree house. Kate receives a phone call from her sister Abigail, whom she informs about Esther's behavior. That's why she came to see them and tell them she may have made a mistake by allowing Esther to accompany them. They know nothing about Esther's past, and similar incidents occurred in the orphanage. They can't, however, doubt her because she manipulates them in a positive way. Kate became concerned after hearing this, but John was unconvinced. Esther overheard this and went to Max to manipulate her and take her to John's study room. Esther takes the keys to the tree house and Max's weapons from there. Esther chases after Sister Abigail with Max and throws him in front of her car. She approaches Max, and Esther attacks from behind with a hammer. She brutally starts hitting her sister Abigail, and she dies as a result. Max is terrified, but she manipulates her once more. She goes to the treehouse to conceal the weapon and clean up the blood. Daniel notices them exiting the treehouse. Esther enters Max's room to scare her with a paper cutter so she will remain silent. Esther is taken to counselor by John and Kate, and she once again manipulates the situation in favor of Kate. Kate, according to the counselor, is not providing Esther with the level of comfort she requires. John becomes enraged because of Kate. On her way home, Kate receives a call from an orphanage. They find out about Abigail's disappearance the day she arrives at their house. They discovered her body after conducting an investigation. This piques Kate's interest and makes her nervous. She conducts research on personality disorders. Kate delivers the proofs to John and persuade John to find out more about Esther. They will begin at a Russian orphanage. Kate calls the Sister Abigail orphanage and discovers that there is no record of Esther in the Russian orphanage. Esther enters the kitchen and presents Kate with flowers. It had come from Jessica's grave. Kate became enraged and held her in rage. When John arrives and stops them, Kate begins to cry in front of Jessica's grave. Esther purposefully inflicted harm on herself and act as if Kate has done this in front of John. John becomes estranged from Kate, and she begins to suffer from depression. She brings wine, but she restrains herself. When Kate goes to school to drop off her children, one of Daniel's books falls to the ground. Esther starts the car from behind when Kate goes to give him books. Kate walks towards the car but is unable to stop it. When John's car becomes stuck in the snow, He contacts a counselor. Esther informs John that Kate purchased wine, and they decide to place her in a rehabilitation center. Nobody believes her when she says she hasn't drunk. Daniel approaches Max, and she tells him everything Esther did. Daniel decides to bring proof from the treehouse so that they can tell their parents the truth. Esther is paying attention to their conversation. Kate retrieves a book from Esther's room. On the book, she notices a logo for an institute, and when she calls, she learns that it is a mental hospital. When Daniel enters the treehouse, Esther burns the proofs, and the treehouse also burns. Esther locks Daniel there, and he saves himself and climbs onto the roof. He collapses and faints as a result of the fire. Esther throws stones at him as Kate runs towards the treehouse, but Max intervenes and stops her. Kate drives him to the hospital. Kate informs John of Esther's true identity. Even so, he didn't believe her. Esther attempts to murder Daniel, but he survives. Kate slaps Esther because she now knows it's all Esther's fault. Esther is saved by John, and Kate is injected by a nurse. When things return to normal, John returns home with Max and Esther. John begins to drink wine. Esther arrives dressed to impress, and begins to seduce John, but he regards her as his daughter. Esther storms into her room, furious. Kate received a call from a Russian hospital, where she had sent Esther's picture. Dr. Varava reveals information about Esther that shocks her. Esther's full name is Lena Klammer, and she is a 33-year-old mature lady. Esther suffers from hypopituitarism, a rare hormonal disorder. As a result, her physical development has stalled, and she has deceived people since she was a child. And she was the hospital's most dangerous patient. So far, she has killed 7 people. Her foster family is also a part of it. She attempted to seduce her foster father and then set fire to the house. Doctor advises Kate to contact the police, because they are in jeopardy. Esther hides her scars with ribbon. In Esther's painting, John notices sexual poses. It surprises John, and when he goes to answer the phone, Esther attacks him from behind, and then begins stabbing him until he dies. Max notices this and retreats to her room. Kate walks towards her house and calls the police. She sobs uncontrollably after learning that John has died. Kate begins her search for Max. Kate is shot by Esther. Max went into the greenhouse to hide. Kate climbs to the greenhouse's roof and distracts Esther. He smashes the window and leaps on her. When the cops arrive, Kate flees with Max. Esther attacks them again when they come outside. Max shot Esther and Kate during their fight, and Esther fell into the freezing water. Kate pushes Esther out the door. Esther, on the other hand, comes outside and grabs her foot. Esther attempts to emotionally blackmail her, but she pushes back. Kate picks up her daughter Max and departs. And this is where movie comes to an end. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, until next time.